And I would especially like to thank Chris d'Entremont, the member for Parliament for Acadie-Annapolis. I'm honored to welcome him as the newest member of our government caucus.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Mark Carney, along with the legacy media, are attempting to disrupt the Conservative Party and oust Pierre Poilievre, all by normalizing a ridiculous concept that has been gaining traction in this country for years: progressive conservatism. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And if it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, smash the like button, and leave me a comment down below and join the conversation. The term doublethink was coined by George Orwell in the classic book 1984. Now, this is the idea of holding two completely contradictory beliefs and believing them both simultaneously. And what a better way to describe progressive conservatism. I mean, think about it, guys. Have you ever heard of somebody describe themselves as an authoritarian libertarian, a communist capitalist, or a violent pacifist? Of course not. It's completely ridiculous. But this is where we're at in Canada with progressive conservatism. And with Chris d'Entremont in the news for leaving the Conservative Party, crossing the floor to the Liberals, I thought, what a better time to have the conversation. Now, Liberal MP Mark Gerretsen put this one out here. For years, Conservatives have been trading in progressive values for alt-right populism. It shouldn't be a surprise that Conservative MPs are questioning the misguided direction of PP and choosing a progressive alternative by joining the Liberal Party caucus. So right off the bat, you'll notice that he has replies limited on this one. Of course, he doesn't want people reading this post, taking the temperature in the room, and seeing just how unpopular this take is. I also have a big problem with some of the language in here. I mean, alt-right populism. What a bunch of fear-mongering nonsense. So all of a sudden, wanting a balanced budget and fiscal responsibility from your government makes you alt-right. And this whole populism thing is another one that they like to use a lot. So let's pull up the definition of populism. A political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups. What's wrong with that? Now, I don't know about anybody else, but when I hear somebody criticize the concept of populism, I get the impression that they are completely comfortable with being ruled by elites. But that's just me. And you'll notice that these lefties have no problem with populists on their side, such as Bernie Sanders, who, to be honest, really just pretends to be a populist because we all know that he's beholden to the interests of Big Pharma. But that's a conversation for another day. Now, if Mark Gerretsen had allowed comments on this post, he would no doubt see stuff like this. Now, this is a great take from Table Salt. Conservatives are alienating red Tories. We don't want red Tories, okay? A red Tory is just a liberal who owns a business and wants cheap labor, like Doug Ford, of course. We fired Aaron O'Toole, and then we threw Jean Charest in the trash bin. We want strong, bold, principled leaders. Now, Chris d'Entremont is claiming to have principles. MP Chris d'Entremont says he joined Liberals because of Poilievre's leadership style. Floor-crossing MP said he wasn't aligned with Conservative leader, felt he was too negative. Nova Scotia MP Chris d'Entremont said Wednesday he left the Conservative caucus because he didn't feel represented in Pierre Poilievre's party anymore and bristled at his negative approach to politics. d'Entremont said there are other Conservative MPs who are in the same boat and they may join him in crossing over to the Liberals. And it's not just Chris d'Entremont saying this, guys. Check out this article from Politico. Carney doesn't rule out more floor-crossing talks. The Canadian Prime Minister's path to control of the House runs through disaffected Conservatives. That's right. He's trying his best to reach out to the other side and find more of these quote-unquote progressive conservative turncoats and get them to support his government, support the budget, and give him a majority. And that's exactly what this is all about. Make no mistake about it. Getting Mark Carney a majority and getting this disastrous budget passed. Chris d'Entremont is not a man of principles at all. Far from it. He just wants to be on the winning team. There's no other explanation. I mean, all this nonsense about not liking Pierre Poilievre's negative approach to politics, whatever that means, this is him in Parliament just 40 days ago.
I want to speak in support of the Conservative motion because Canadians are hurting. Families are being forced to cut deeply into their grocery budgets just to get by. And frankly, that makes me a little bit angry and a little bit sad.
Canada is a wealthy country, but under this Liberal government, it's being mismanaged. Taxpayers are being squeezed, and their hard-earned money is being wasted.
So that's a great take there. And it, again, what happened? Because all of a sudden he is going to be supporting this budget, which is going to do exactly what he is speaking against here. And what's up with his arm there? Is that an injury from putting his elbows up, perhaps?
In southwest Nova Scotia, where I have lived my entire life, people work hard. They want to own a home, feed their children, provide a good education to them, and maybe take a vacation every once in a while. But you know what? Since 2015, everything changed. Since I was first elected here in 2019, the cost of living has skyrocketed. Even then, families in West Nova, it was called at the time, but in Acadie-Annapolis, were struggling. We warned that Liberals, their out-of-control spending and massive deficits were irresponsible. But of course, they didn't listen. And now, after 6 months under a new Prime Minister who promised financial discipline, Canadians are still waiting. He said he'd be judged by the cost.
Again, I hate to interrupt, but he's talking about Mark Carney's lack of financial discipline. And now he wants to go ahead and support a budget with a $78.3 billion deficit. Make it make sense.
At the grocery store. Well, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are judging him, and they are not impressed. Okay. Instead of delivering relief, this government delayed its budget. So we're still waiting for a budget. We haven't seen a budget in a year and a half. Why? Because it's projecting an over $92 billion deficit. That's a monstrous, irresponsible burden on future generations. That's right. We'll hear it, I'm sure, maybe the questions that they're talking about a generational investment. But Mr. Speaker, what it really is a generational debt that my kids, their kids, and their kids' kids are going to have to try to pay in one way or another. That causes inflation and extra costs to future generations.
Well, congratulations, Chris. You just sold out your kid's future so that you can keep your job for maybe a few more years. Now, what you're going to see in the coming days is Mark Carney and the Liberal Party and the legacy media especially using this moment to cast doubt on Pierre Poilievre's leadership, especially with the Conservative Leadership Review coming up in January. Ryan Garretson put this one out here. April 30th of this year, Chris d'Entremont not only said Pierre should stay on as leader, but says a lot of people who voted for him voted for change and voted for Pierre Poilievre. He just walked away from all of his constituents who voted for him after using him to win. Exactly. And I can assure you guys, the people that voted for him in Nova Scotia are pissed.
A 41% share of the popular vote. That's a tremendous success for the Conservatives. 144 seats, breaking through in key parts of Ontario. A tremendous success for the Conservatives. But Pierre Poilievre lost his seat. And down the stretch run, he wasn't in your ads and he was seen as a bit of a ballot drag. So should he stay on as leader of your party after what happened on Monday night?
I think he should. I mean, ultimately, he won extra seats in the country. A lot of people that voted for me voted for change. They voted for Pierre Poilievre. Youth were voting for him. Young voters were voting for him. People concerned about the fishery were voting for him. And I think getting rid of him would be the bad message. The message that we've been trying to put, that we need change in Canada, in Nova Scotia, that it can be done by a Pierre Poilievre government. And I don't think we have time. I mean, how long are we going to be in a minority situation? How long before it falls again? Do we have time to do another leadership convention? Like you were saying earlier, we've had 4 leaders or 3 leaders in the last 4 years. We really need to stick to someone here, and I think Pierre's the guy.
Okay, but
Now, when I say Chris d'Entremont is primarily concerned with losing his job and it has nothing to do with principles, that's not just me saying that. That is some people that know him well. So this is Rick Perkins, a former MP from Nova Scotia, Conservative. If an election is held now, I will lose my seat. I might as well not run. Chris d'Entremont told this to me this past weekend. Make no mistake, there is nothing in this floor crossing about principles. It was about keeping his job. And here we have Anna Manley. I've talked about her on the show before. She was running in North Sydney, Glace Bay, and Cape Breton, and she was the one who had her truck vandalized. Now, she says Nova Scotia had one Conservative MP. One. We had one representative who would hold the Carney government to account for us. We haven't just lost that. We have been abandoned by an unprincipled person who looked at the fight ahead and said, "No, I choose me. Shame on you." Unfortunately, she's absolutely correct about that. Now Nova Scotia doesn't have anybody representing them who are concerned about Mark Carney's disastrous agenda, and I certainly hope that his constituents don't soon forget about this. But that's going to be my show for today, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Johnny from Nova Scotia says thank you. Hey, Johnny from Nouvelle-Écosse, il dit merci, thank you.
Thanks to you.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Yeah, Quebec.